ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. Namaskar to all of you. Welcome to the study of Ramakrishna, the Great Master, written by Shardanandaji Maharaj. We will all now go to Dakshineshwar and again have the special vision which Hriday Ram had, and then proceed forward. Hriday had a wonderful vision, extraordinary vision. He saw that Sri Ramakrishna was not a human being, that he was not composed of flesh and blood, that the Panchavati was illumined by the light coming out of his body, and that while the master was walking, neither of his feet, which were also of light, did touch the ground, but carried him through the air. Taking all this to be an optical illusion, Hriday rubbed his eyes again and again, observed all the surrounding things in their natural state, and looked at the master once again. But to no purpose, although he saw all other things, trees, creepers, the Ganga and the hut, etc., to be what they were, he repeatedly saw Sri Ramakrishna in that luminous form. Extremely amazed at it, Hriday asked himself whether there was any change in his mind which made him have that experience. Thinking thus, he looked at his own body and saw that he too was an effulgent being made out of light, an attendant and companion of God himself, serving him eternally, a part and parcel of his divine person of solidified spiritual luminosity. Now, having a separate existence for the sole purpose of serving Sri Ramakrishna. When he had this experience and came to know the mystery of his own life, his heart was flooded with a strong current of bliss. He forgot himself, forgot the world, and forgot to consider whether the people of the world would speak well or ill of him. He was now in ecstasy with one partial normal consciousness and cried aloud repeatedly like one mad. O Ramakrishna, O Ramakrishna, we are not mortal beings. Why are we here? Come, let us go from country to country and set souls free from bondage. I am also what you are. The master said to us, hearing him crying out thus, I said, stop, stop. Why on earth are you behaving like this? People will run up here thinking some calamity has befallen us. But did he give ear to all this? I then came hurriedly to him, touched his heart, and said, make the fellow dull and drab again, O mother. Hriday said to us that no sooner had the master said so, his bliss and vision vanished into void, and he was his former dull self once again. Thus, fallen suddenly from the state of ecstasy, his mind was filled with dejection. Uncle, uncle, mama, mama, sobbed he. Why did you do this to me? Why did you say that I should become dull? I shall never again have such a blissful vision. So Ramakrishna replied, did I say? Replied the master, that you should forever be dull? I said, be calm now. What a noise you made with such a small vision. That was why I had to say so. What a wealth of vision and experience I have all the 24 hours. But do I make any noise? It is not yet time for you to have such visions. Now be at rest. When it is time, you will have various visions and experiences. Although Hriday had to remain silent at the words of the master, he felt much wounded. Under the influence of egoism, he thought afterwards that he would try to have that vision again somehow. Reflecting thus, he increased the period of his japa and meditation and resolved that he should go at night to the Panchavati, and that sitting under the tree where the master formerly used to sit for japa and meditation, he should call on the mother of the universe. Thinking so, once at dead of the night, he left his bed, went to the Panchavati and sat down on the master's seat to meditate. Strangely enough, the master too felt a desire to go to Panchavati at that time. Scarcely had he reached the place when he heard Hriday piteously calling out to him, save me, uncle, save me, mama, raksha karo, save me, uncle. I am being burned to death. The master stepped forward quickly, came up to him and asked him, what is the matter, Hriday? Restless on account of his pain, Hriday said, uncle, no sooner did I sit down here for meditation than I felt as if someone threw a plate full of live charcoal over my body. I am suffering from an unbearable burning pain. The master passed his hand over his body and said, don't be afraid. It will cool. Why do you do all this? Have I not told you again and again that you will achieve everything by serving me? So these words of Sri Ramakrishna is to be noted. So Ramakrishna is told, you need not do all these practices. All of us have to bear it in mind. Ramakrishna has done all the sadhana for us. If we serve him wholeheartedly, if we serve the cause of Sri Ramakrishna anywhere in the any part of the world, so wherever you are, you do the work of Sri Ramakrishna, spread the message of God realization, of your true identity, that we are all Atman, whatever Ramakrishna stands for, the principle. He came here to energize, to awaken the spiritual life, the spirituality in all the human beings. If we can join hands, if we can start helping in that cause, then that is more than enough. We can again remember the words of Sri Ramakrishna. Have I not told you again and again that you will achieve everything by serving me? Hriday used to say that all his pain was immediately removed by the touch of the master's hand. He never afterwards went again to the Panchavati to practice meditation, and a conviction grew in him that it would be good for him to act contrary to his it, it would not be good for him to act contrary to his uncle's advice. Hriday no doubt got some sort of peace from words of the master, but the daily duties of the temple now appeared distasteful to him. His mind was in search of some novel actions from which he could derive some joy. Seeing the advent of the autumn season of 1868, he resolved to perform the autumnal worship of Divine Mother Durga in his house. Ganga Narayan, his elder brother, half brother, had then passed away, and Raghav's another relative, now appointed to collect rent in the estate of Mathur, Babu was earning a decent income. With the change of time, when prosperity dawned, a new worship hall was built. Ganga Narayan had expressed a wish that he should once invoke the Divine Mother and worship her there, but he did not get an opportunity of fulfilling that wish. Hriday remembered that desire of his and tried to fulfill it, knowing that Hriday, a man of action, might possibly get peace by celebrating the worship of Divine Mother Durga. The master agreed to it. While Mathur rendered pecuniary help to Hriday, Hriday desired very much to take Sri Ramakrishna to be with himself during that period. Wounded at his heart on account of his failure in this respect, now Mathur was not willing to send Sri Ramakrishna to his place. Though Mathur rendered pecuniary help to Hriday, Hriday desired very much to take Sri Ramakrishna with him and have him at his residence during the worship. But Mathur would have none of it, as he wanted Sri Ramakrishna to be with himself during the period of Durga Puja. Wounded at his heart on account of his failure in this respect, Hriday made ready to go home alone to perform worship of Mother Durga there. Seeing him thus dejected, Sri Ramakrishna, as Hriday told us, consoled him, saying, "Why are you pained, Hriday? In my subtle body, I shall daily go to see you a worship. Nobody except you will see me. Have as the Tantra Dharaka, a Brahmana, to dictate the mantras, that is the Tantra Dharaka, while somebody is doing puja. Always in the puja time, there will be another person sitting with the book and the mantras. He will be repeating the mantra. The Tantra Dharaka will be repeating the mantra, and the pujari or the purohit will be doing the worship. That is the method. So Ramakrishna is telling, you have as the Tantra Dharaka a Brahmana to dictate the mantra to you and perform the worship yourself with devotion. Instead of keeping a complete fast, at midday drink some milk, Ganga water, and the syrup of candy. If you perform the worship in this way, the Mother of the universe will certainly accept your worship." Hriday said that the master gave him detailed instruction as to who should be ordered to make the image, who should be appointed as Tantra Dharaka, and how all other things should be done. Ramakrishna gave him all the detailed instructions. Now Hriday started home with great delight to perform the worship of Mother Durga. Now we are all approaching that to perform Mother Durga's worship. Now it is coming in India, it is autumn. So there we will be worshipping Mother Durga. Navaratri is fast approaching. Hriday reached home and did everything according to the advice of Sri Ramakrishna. He performed the rites pertaining to the 6th day of the bright fortnight. So sixth Tithi is the Shashti. Now in the Navaratri, generally, because this time it is Adhika Masa, from the Pitrupaksha, the Mahalaya Amavasya, the next day would be the Navaratri starting. But because of Adhika Masa, it has gone too much forward. So now, during the Navaratri, the first day is called after the Mahalaya Amavasya. It is called the first Tithi, it is called Pratipat. So the second Tithi is Dvitiya, third is Tritiya, fourth is Chaturthi, fifth is Panchami, Shashti. So that is now Shashti, the sixth day of the ninth day. So then after the sixth day, it is Saptami, seventh day, Ashtami, eighth day, Navami, ninth day. So 9 nights and is called Navaratri. So that is in the from Amavasya towards Purnima. So it is called bright fortnight, means Shukla Paksha. Because we are going towards light or whiteness, so it is Shukla Paksha. While we are going from Amavasya, from Purnima to Amavasya, you are going towards darkness. So it is black. That is Krishna Paksha, 15 days. So together with one Krishna Paksha, 15 days, and another Shukla Paksha, it will make a month, 30 days. So there will be one Amavasya, that is no moon, new moon day, and there will be another full moon day, that is Purnima. This is the calendar, Hindu calendar. So there will be Krishna Paksha and Shukla Paksha. So this Durga Puja will be happening during Shukla Paksha, all the 9 days. And the 10th day, it is the victory day on which Divine Mother Durga killed Mahishasura. She had the final victory on the demons. So that is the Vijaya Dashami, the 10th day on which Divine Mother had the victory. So it's called Vijaya Dashmi. That is one of the most auspicious day in the year. Anybody can start any new venture without seeing any Panchanga or calculating any time on this day. That is Vijayadashmi. If you start any venture, it will be very, very successful. Another day of the year which they keep to start any venture, new thing, is Akshaya Tritiya. This Vijayadashmi is the most auspicious day. So that's why you can see Ramachandra also got victory over Ravana on this day. Whatever it might be, now Hriday performed the rites pertaining to the sixth day, Shashti, of the bright fortnight, such as the awakening of the goddess. It's called awakening of the goddess is done on the sixth day. That means Bodhana, Amantrana. So Bodhana means awakening. Amantrana means inviting. So before inviting to Mother Durga, you will be doing Bodhana. You have to wake up, because in the loka of the Devas, in the divine loka, it will be the time, night time, they take rest. So you have to wake up Mother Durga, all the gods and goddesses at that time. So after waking up, then they do the act of other things, welcoming, puja, serving. So first, Bodhana, she will be woken up. The Divine Mother will be woken up. We consider Divine Mother as the daughter of our house. So we wake her up, then we do all the services. So the first one is Bodhana. Bodhana means awakening. Then the Amantrana, inviting her. And then we will be serving her in different ways. So now on the sixth day, Hriday, in the bright fortnight, that is Shashti, he did all the rituals like awakening of the goddess, the preliminary consecration of the image. Now, why should Divine Mother be awakened at this time? It is the time of their sleeping. Even Ramachandra awakened her first before asking her to help him win Ravana in the battle. She is the one, she is the defense minister, as I told you, in our Hindu pantheon. Everything is managed by mothers. So the defense minister is Mother Durga. Then the what do you call finance minister is Mother Lakshmi. Education minister is Mother Saraswati. So whatever you have to get a victory in battle and all these things is looked after by Mother Durga. So we have to awaken her. So now this is the sleep time. This time there will be a thing called Dakshinayana. So from Makara Sankranti, they wake up themselves. That is the time, daytime. In the Devaloka and they will wake up. So this time is sleeping time for the gods and goddesses. So Ramachandra has to do this bodhana, waking of mother, and then ask her for the permission and blessings for the war against Ravana. So that's why on the sixth day, all that Sri Ramachandra did during the period to win Ravana, he woke up mother first and then did all the worship. All that is copied. We imitate, we do everything what Sri Ramachandra did at that time. So one of the reason why we perform Durga Puja in this manner is because whatever Ramachandra, how he worshipped Mother Durga, that is being followed with some extra accessories too. So now, accordingly, Hriday, on the sixth day, the Shashti of the bright fortnight, that is the Shukla Paksha, he did the rituals such as the awakening, Bodhana of the goddess, the preliminary consecration of the image, that is now the image has been formed. We do the image. We will have not invoked Divine Mother into that image. First it will be invoked in the Kalasha, Ghata Stapana. So from the Ghata, then it will be invoked into the image with all the mantras. So now here, preliminary consecration, invoking Mother into the image and the invocation of the Devi, and engaged himself in the worship. While the light waving service, Arati, when everybody knows Arati, Nirajana, it's called in Sanskrit as Nirajana. So at the time of the service, light waving service, Arati, was when it was in progress, at the conclusion of the worship on the Saptami day. So on the seventh day, after doing all this invocation, when the completion almost, we was completing the worship of Divine Mother on the seventh day. On the 8th and 9th, Mother will be worshipped. On the 10th, the Mother will be taken out of that image and it will be immersed in water. So on the seventh day, the whole day, they have finished all the worship of the Mother. The last thing is, after all the Naivedya and everything, the last thing is to do Arati. So while the light waving service, Arati, was in progress in Hriday's house, at the conclusion of the worship on the Saptami day, Hriday saw the luminous form of Sri Ramakrishna standing in an ecstatic mood by the side of the image. So Hriday, as promised by Sri Ramakrishna, do not worry. Since here Mathur did not want to send away Sri Ramakrishna to Kamarpukur, he wanted that Sri Ramakrishna should be in the worship of Divine Mother there in Kolkata or Dakshineshwar or his Jan Bazar house. So he didn't allow Sri Ramakrishna to go to Kamarpukur and then to Siho. But he did all the arrangement. He helped Hriday. Hriday was in pain. Then Sri Ramakrishna promised him now that he will come in his subtle body and then he can only see. Hriday Ram only could have the vision of Sri Ramakrishna there. So now as promised, during the time of Arati, on the Saptami day, while everything was coming to a close, Hriday saw the luminous form. Hriday saw the luminous form of Sri Ramakrishna standing in an ecstatic mood by the side of the image. Hriday informed us, that is later on when Shardanandaji Maharaj, who is the author of this book, would interview Hriday as to the happenings during the life of Sri Ramakrishna. Now, Sharadanandaji Maharaj is telling, Hriday informed us how he used to be filled with great spiritual ardor to have this vision of Sri Ramakrishna on every day of the worship at the light waving service and also at the special rites of the Sandhi Puja. Now, there will be a Sandhi, as I told you. We all have every day the Sandhya Vandana, the junction between the day and the night, the evening and the night, then the morning and the evening. So there will be three Sandhyas. There will be also midnight Sandhya. The joining period is called Sandhya. So when every day we have this Sandhya, Pratha Sandhya, Madhyandina Sandhya, Sayam Sandhya, then midnight Sandhya is also there. Only deep, very great sadhakas we will do the sadhana at that time. During this Sandhya, your mind, there is a junction of this morning, early morning and daytime, from night to morning, then morning to evening, there is a noon time, 12 o'clock, then evening to night, that junction, then midnight, there will be a very special atmosphere when your mind will calm down and concentrate. And making use of that concentrated mind, sadhaka, spiritual aspirants will do sadhana. These are all the best time in every day to do sadhana. That's called Sandhya Vandanam. That's why you can see in the house of Brahmanas, they will perform these Sandhya Vandana rituals at these periods. Sandhya Vandana will be done. So like that, during this period, Durga Navaratri, there is a thing called Sandhi Puja. So now this year, when is this Sandhi, the junction? So which junction is it? It is the junction between Ashtami and Navami. So the 8th day and the 9th day, the junction of these 2 days is called Sandhi Puja, Ashtami and Navami. So this year, that is the next Navaratri, when is the Sandhi Puja? So on the Mahanavami day, Saturday 24th October 2020, 6 early morning, 6:35 a.m. to 7:23 a.m. is the Sandhi Puja. So you can note it. The Sandhi Puja this year in the Navaratri is on Saturday 24th October 2020, early in the morning at 6:35 a.m. to 7:23 a.m. That is the Sandhi Puja. Then at 7:30 a.m. there is Adhika Puja, because this is Adhika Masa, leap year. So there will be Adhika Puja also. Then we have the Mahanavami. Then the Vijayadashami is on 26th according to the Indian calendar or Vishuddha Siddhanta calendar. But in South Africa, they have reduced because one day, that is, there will be no Shashti. So it is reduced to one day. There is no Shashti in the South African celebration this time. South African Hindu Mahasabha has reduced one day according to their calculation. There are different calendars. We follow the calendar of Belur Math, that is the Vishuddha Siddhanta calendar. So there, the South African Hindu Mahasabha calendar, 26th is Vijayadashmi. But according to the Belur Math and also Indian calendar, Vishuddha Siddhanta calendar, it is the 26th of October, we are celebrating the Vijayadashami. So now we came to know when is Sandhi Puja. And also on the Mahashtami, the 8th day, at 9:15 a.m. is the Kumari Puja, when Divine Mother Durga will be worshipped as a Kumari, a live Kumari, that is a small girl of the age of 12 or 13 or in between, below that. That girl is called Kumari. So that Divine Mother will be worshipped in a live Kumari. A girl will be selected from a family and she will be worshipped. They will invoke instead of the image, from the image, they will invoke Divine Mother into that girl, Kumari, who will be selected specially for that puja, and they will do puja in that girl. Divine Mother will be invoked in the form of a Kumari. So that Kumari puja will be happening this year on the Ashtami day, the 8th day at 9:15 a.m. Kumari puja will be held in Belur Math. So these are all the pujas happening this year. So likewise, the image and the invocation of Devi and the was done preliminary worship by Hriday. While the light waving service Arati was in progress, at the conclusion of the worship, on the Saptami day, the 7th day, Hriday saw, as promised by Sri Ramakrishna, the luminous form of the master standing in an ecstatic mode by the side of the image. Hriday informed us how he used to be filled with great spiritual ardor to have this vision of the master on every day of the worship, at the light waving service, and also at the special rites of the Sandhi Puja. Just now, that's why I explained what is Sandhi Puja, the junction between the time of Ashtami and Navami junction is very, very sacred. So that is worshipped as the Sandhi Puja or the junction worship, so called because of its performance at the junction of the Ashtami and the Navami days of worship. Hriday came back to Dakshineshwar shortly after the worship was finished and narrated to Ramakrishna everything concerning the worship. At the time of the Arati and the junction worship, that is Sandhi Puja, said Sri Ramakrishna to him, I used to feel a great desire. So Sri Ramakrishna here, what happened to Sri Ramakrishna here? He is given the word. So Sri Ramakrishna used to feel a great desire when at the time of Arati, Saptami, and the junction worship, Sandhi Puja, said the master to him, I used to feel a great desire here, sitting here in Kolkata, that is in Dakshineshwar. Ramakrishna used to feel a great desire, pull, to see your worship there in Sihor, some 200 kilometers from here, Kolkata. So now I used to feel a great desire to see your worship. And so I used to enter into Samadhi and ecstasy. I felt then Sri Ramakrishna is explaining that he felt then that I went along a path of light. So there would open up a path of light. And I used to go through that. I felt that I went along a path of light and was present in your worship hall in a luminous body. So I too would feel here a desire to go to your place immediately at that particular time, especially the evening of worship, when every day the Saptami, Ashtami, Navami, when the worship would be over and the Arati performed, and during the Sandhi Puja, which is very sacred. So I used to feel a urge, a desire to go to your place. Then I used to enter into Samadhi. So when I used to enter into Samadhi, there would be a luminous path, a path of light opening up, then with a body of light. So I used to travel through this path, and I used to, within seconds, I used to reach your place, just within seconds. So I went along a path of light, Sri Ramakrishna is explaining, and was present in your worship hall in a luminous body. So from Calcutta to Kamarpukur, from Kamarpukur to Sihor is another 7-8 kilometers. So there in that birthplace or the house, ancestral house of Hriday, that pandal, the place where Hriday worshipped Mother Durga and where Sri Ramakrishna appeared, is still maintained. The house of Hriday is also still maintained. If you go to Kamarpukur, you can visit that place. Some relatives of Hridaya are also living there in that house, and they will show everything. The place where the Durga Puja happened, the house of Hriday, everything is maintained as it is. So if you go to a pilgrimage of Belur Math and Kamarpukur and Jairambati, you can visit that place where nearly 200 kilometers Sri Ramakrishna was staying in Dakshineshwar, traveled there in the path of that light with luminous body within seconds. The moment you used to feel the urge, desire to go there to visit Hriday's worship, Ramakrishna used to go to ecstasy, and there would be a path of light opening up, and within seconds he would be there. Milliseconds or seconds he would be there in that luminous body. And there, correspondingly, Hridaya Rama also had the vision. Only Hridaya Rama, as Ramakrishna had promised, by the side of that image of Mother Durga, Ramakrishna would be standing in ecstasy, and he was filled with so much of joy to see Ramakrishna there. So I felt that I went along a path of light and was present in your worship, all in a luminous body. Hriday told us that once the master predicted in an ecstatic mood. So after this event, Hriday every year wanted to perform the Durga Puja like the first year, because so much of joy he got by doing that worship. So he wanted to continue that Durga Puja. So Hriday told that once the master predicted in an ecstatic mode, you will perform the yearly worship thrice. And it actually happened so. We all know, other than this autumnal Durga Puja, the Vasanta Navaratri is also there, just like this is called Sharan Navaratri, Sharat Kala Navaratri. Like that, there are another two Navaratris too, the Vasanta Navaratri and all other things. So you will perform the yearly worship thrice, and it actually happened so. Now, I'm sorry, it is not the yearly worship, is not the Sharan and Vasanta, it is Sharan Navaratri only. You will perform this 3 years, every year, 3 years continuously. But after that, you cannot do. That was the prediction of Sri Ramakrishna. Hriday told us that once Sri Ramakrishna predicted in an ecstatic mode, you will perform this yearly worship thrice, 3 years. And it actually happened so. Disregarding the master's words, he was making preparation for the worship in the 4th year. After the 3rd year again, in the 4th year, he wanted to do the worship, disregarding the prediction of Sri Ramakrishna. He was making preparation to worship Divine Mother again on the 4th year. So when such a series of obstacles, so much of difficulties, so much of problems, hurdles, obstacles started appearing when he was making preparation for the 4th time, when such a series of obstacles occurred, that he had at last to give it up. So many series of difficulties started coming to him, hurdles, obstacles, that he was forced to give up the idea of doing Durga Puja for the 4th year. Hriday, because now he had lost his wife after the pilgrimage. So he had got a temporary vairagya. Now he started using sadhana. So much of puja, japa, meditation. So his was a temporary renunciation, but the desires are there in his mind. So Hriday, after this event, married again shortly after the worship of the 1st year. Thenceforward, he applied his mind to the service of Sri Ramakrishna and to the worship at Dakshineshwar temple as before. So we saw the wonderful event. We also saw, just at the approach of Durga Puja, we are seeing how Sri Ramakrishna went to that Durga Pendal and received the worship of our Hriday in the luminous path as he had promised. So all these things we observed, we were all present in Dakshineshwar. We also traveled with Sri Ramakrishna to Kamarpukur and to Sihor and we also were present in the worship. Now we will go to the next part of Sri Ramakrishna's life, that is the death of Sri Ramakrishna's relations. So, how the death was received. Nowadays, we can see so many people are dying due to COVID and other reason. So we are so much apprehensive. We are so much afraid. So all of us are in that state or mood. Now, when death happens in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, Sthita Prajna, a realized soul, the avatara, he should also show us how we can receive death of our near and dear ones, how we have to go on with that. What is the approach? What is the attitude which we have to have? So let us see the death of the master's relation. So we are entering to the next phase of Sri Ramakrishna's life. We have already acquainted the reader a little with Akshay. Who was Akshay? We all know that Akshay was the son of Ram Kumar, the eldest brother of Sri Ramakrishna, Akshay Kumar. He didn't have, Akshay Kumar's father, Ram Kumar. He didn't have a child for a long time. He was a very good astrologer. He had some special powers. He had predicted that the moment his wife would conceive a child, then she will die. The birth of a child would be the death of her, that is the wife of Ram Kumar. And for many, many years, that wife of Ram Kumar couldn't have a child. After many years, she had this child, or she conceived this child. The moment she conceived, she passed away. Seeing the boy, looking at that child, she passed away. We all know that. We have studied earlier the life of Ram Kumar. Now this boy, Akshay Kumar, was growing up. He now has become a youth. So we have already acquainted the reader a little with Akshay Kumar, the son of master's eldest brother Ram Kumar. Akshay came to Dakshineshwar. When he grew up as a youth, he came to Dakshineshwar and was appointed priest in the Vishnu temple. Now he too came and took up the work of a priest in the Vishnu temple in Dakshineshwar. In 1865, a short time after the reversed, in 1865, a short time after the revered Totapuri came there, Akshay was there about 17 years old. When Totapuri came to Dakshineshwar to teach the Advaita Vedanta and give sannyasa to Sri Ramakrishna, at that time, Akshay Kumar was present in Dakshineshwar and he was 17 years old at that time. So now, Akshay Kumar was then about 17 years old. It is necessary to say a few words there about him. As his mother, that is the wife of Ram Kumar, as his mother had died at the time of his birth, he became an object of special love to all his relatives. Everybody had taken care of him and brought him up with great care because he didn't have the mother to be taken care of. He was only 3 or 4 years old when Sri Ramakrishna came for the first time to Calcutta in 1852. So this Akshay Kumar was only 3 or 4 years old when Sri Ramakrishna came to Kamarpukur to visit Kamarpukur, his native place, in 1852. At that time, this small boy, Akshay Kumar, was growing, was 3 or 4 years at that time, in 1852. The master, therefore, had the occasion to take Akshay on his lap and bring him up with loving care. So Sri Ramakrishna also used to look after this boy, Akshay Kumar. So he had the opportunity. The master, therefore, had the occasion to take this boy Akshay on his lap and bring him up with loving care for 2 or 3 years before he came to Calcutta. But his father Ramkumar never took him on his lap. Why? His father Ramkumar would never took him on his lap. When asked for the reason, when Ramkumar was asked for the reason, why can't you show little love and affection, take him on your lap? So Ramkumar would say, it will be love lost. If I now take care and if I show him love, I know he was a very good astrologer and he could predict many things. So he knew something about Akshay Kumar. So if I now start fondling him, taking care of him, showing him love and affection, if I take him on my lap, why am I not doing that? Because he would say, it will be love lost. Again, I will lose. I have to undergo the pain of losing him. The child will not live long. So Ramkumar had predicted that the child will not live long. Afterwards, the master forgot himself, the world and all its concern during the days of his absorption in spiritual practices. Akshay was then passing through the tender years of his boyhood. Now Akshay was passing through his childhood, then he was growing up. So he was passing through the tender years of his boyhood and had by this time grown up into a handsome youth. So he was now a grown up handsome youth. We were told by Sri Ramakrishna that his relatives and his relatives, we were told by Sri Ramakrishna and his relatives that Akshay was indeed a very, very handsome person. He was very handsome. Akshay was very, very handsome. This was told not only by the relatives but also by Sri Ramakrishna himself. They said that this Akshay's complexion was as bright as his features were graceful. His complexion, the body, the skin color was also as bright as his features were graceful. He looked like a living form of Shiva. His beauty, the complexion was so white. Now Shiva is described as his skin color is so bright as that of the camphor. We have seen camphor, how bright and white it will be. So the skin color of Shiva is like that of camphor, white as camphor. Karpura Varnam, Karunavataram. Karpura Varnam is, Karpura means this camphor is called Karpura in Sanskrit. So Karpura Varnam is the color of Karpura. Shiva's body is like that. So they are comparing here that Akshay Kumar looked like a living form of Shiva. His body, complexion, and he, a beautiful form, was like that. Akshay's mind was very much devoted from his childhood to Sri Ramachandra. So Akshay, as he grew up, he was growing up with lot of devotion to Sri Lord Ramachandra. He spent a long time daily in the service of Raghuvira, in the house of ancestral house of Sri Ramakrishna. Even now, if you go to Kamarpukur, that ancestral house, there is a shrine, Ramakrishna's house, the Ramakrishna's birthplace. Then by the side, we have the small house, hut-like house, where the ancestral deities of Sri Ramakrishna has been preserved and that to be worshipped by the ancestors, the householders, the ancestors of Sri Ramakrishna will come. They are all living nearby. So their children and other people will come and they will do the worship there. So all that thing, Raghuvira Shila, Shitala Devi's, that Kalasha or Ghata, and all other deities which was worshipped by Ramakrishna, his father, is still maintained there. They do that regular puja and it is taken care of by the family members. So now, this boy was also very highly devoted to Ramachandra Lord Ramachandra, and used to do all the worship of those deities in the house. Akshay Kumar's mind, this youth, this small boy, while he was growing up, was very much devoted from his childhood to Sri Ramachandra. He spent a long time daily in the service of Raghuvira. The Raghuvira Shila, Ramachandra's Saligrama, was found by our great father of Sri Ramakrishna, Khudiram. So that was bought. He got it somewhere while going to another place on the field. He had a dream and he saw that it was guarded by a big snake. And then he brought it to his house and he started worshipping Raghuvira. Raghuvira had told in his dream that he wanted to come to his house and receive his worship. He's lying there without any worship. All that we know, we have studied it. Now that Raghuvira Shila is still maintained. If you go to Kamarpukur, you can see that. So now it is the turn of Akshay Kumar from his childhood. As he grew up, he was worshipping with great care and attention and devotion this Saligrama, Raghuvira Saligrama. Akshay's mind was very much devoted from his childhood to Sri Ramachandra. He spent a long time daily in the service of Raghuvira, his family deity. Therefore, his appointment as the priest of Vishnu temple at Dakshineshwar gave him a duty that was very much to his liking, because he was a great devotee of Sri Ramachandra. Now, he is given the work of doing the priest job of Vishnu temple at Dakshineshwar, that is Radha Kanta, Radha Krishna's the temple. Vishnu's temple at Dakshineshwar gave him a duty that was very much to his liking. The master said, while he was performing the worship of Radha Govinda, he became so much absorbed. Who is praising Akshay, the great devotee, great Paramabhakta of Mother Kali. The great Avatar Purusha Sri Ramakrishna himself is praising the way with great devotion this Akshay used to do the worship of Radha Govinda. The master himself, Sri Ramakrishna, said, while this boy Akshay was performing the worship of Radha Govinda, he became so much absorbed in meditation that he had no idea of the crowds of the people coming and going out of the temple. So he was oblivious of the surroundings. He couldn't understand who were watching him, who the people came. He was so much immersed, and this was told by none other than Sri Ramakrishna himself. So Ramakrishna said, while Akshay was performing the worship of Radha Govinda, he became so much absorbed in meditation that he had no idea of the crowd of the people coming and going out of the temple, and would not regain his normal consciousness before the lapse of a couple of hours. That was the intensity of devotion of Akshay Kumar. Having finished the daily worship at the temple, then Akshay Kumar would go, we have been told by Hriday, to the Panchavati and spend a long time in worshipping Shiva there. So you can see the combination, harmony of devotion. He was so devoted to Lord Ramachandra. Now he's performing the worship of Radha Kanta with much more devotion, immersed in that. After his duty of performing the worship there, he used to go in his leisure time to Panchavati, sit and meditate and worship Lord Shiva. So there is no basically difference between Lord Shiva and Vishnu. It is only we make all these differences. The Lord takes all those forms just to suit our liking, our stages of evolution, our needs. He takes all these different forms and attributes to help us, that's all. So in essence, there is no difference. They are all one and the same. So here, having finished the daily worship at the temple, Akshay Kumar would go, we have been told by Hriday, to the Panchavati and spend a long time in worshipping Shiva. Why they used to go to Panchavati? It was just like a jungle or a forest. Nobody would come there. All were afraid to go to that thick vegetation. So it would be lonely. There will be solitude. It's not lonely, it's solitude. So sadhakas like solitude because they can think of God without any disturbance. So Hriday is telling that Akshay used to go to Panchavati after the puja in leisure hours and spend a long time in worshipping Shiva there. He would then cook his own food with his own hands, and after taking his meal, apply his mind to the study of the Bhagavata. Then he used to study the scriptures, Bhagavata. Besides, by a new urge of love of God, he practiced so much of nyasa and pranayama. Nyasa is consecration. We discussed that in puja class. On Monday evening, we do this puja class. It is all there about nyasa, anganyasa, karanyasa, vyapakanyasa, rishyadanyasa, antarmatrukanyasa, matrukanyasa. Like that, there are so many nyasas whereby we consecrate our different parts of the body with different deities by the mantras and bija mantras. So to make our own body pure, that is important aspect of nyasa, consecration, consecrating the different deities in our own limbs, different parts of the body to make ourselves pure, to remove all the negative thoughts. So only positivity in our body. So now he used to do so much of nyasa. Akshay used to do so much of nyasa and also used to perform pranayama. We all know pranayama in yoga, the deep breathing exercises where we breathe according to different countings. That is the Anuloma and Viloma, or whatever it is called, the Puraka, Rechaka, Kumbhaka. So taking in the air is Kumbhaka, sorry, Puraka. Filling up is Puraka, the lungs with air. Then retaining that breath inside is called Kumbhaka. Then putting out that air from the lungs through another nostrils is called Rechaka. So doing that performing, what happens? Through the movement of the lungs and breathing, you can catch hold of the power, the prana, the energy which is causing the movement of the lungs, and through that the nerve current, and through that the brain, and through that the mind. So like that you can take control of your mind, and mind will become very concentrated by this pranayama. So nyasa is purifying the body, consecrating all the different bija mantras, deities into your different limbs, and pranayama. So with that pranayama, you get concentration of your mind. So doing this pranayama and nyasa. So here they're telling that this boy who was a great devotee of Ramachandra, he was doing so much of puja of Shiva in Panchavati for a long time, spent a long time in worshipping Shiva there. He would then cook his own food. He would not eat the food cooked by others, because a person who cooks the food, whatever his nature is, his character, that comes to the food. That will give the nature to that food. If anybody eats that food, they get that nature. Suppose a person is a very bad criminal and is a cook, he cooks the food. If somebody eats that food, that criminal tendencies, those character, the nature will temporarily, until that food material is in your body, will come to you. You will get those tendencies. So there are three different aspects of food. The purity, Shuddha, Ahara Shuddhi, Ahara Sattva, by its nature. After cooking, if it is tamasic, the food itself has its nature, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. And dirt and other things, if it is mixed, if it is not properly cleaned, that is another part of the purity of the food. Then there is another part of the thing is who handles it, who gives it, who has performed the cooking. That also nature will be induced to the person who eats the food. And there is another aspect of the food, the person who has given that food or anything to a sadhaka. How did he earn that money? Is he good by nature? Is he earning the money by swindling money, or by wrong means, or by troubling others, or by deception, or taking a bribe? So that also impacts, or by thieving, has he stolen that money? How has that person got that food? That also impacts on the person who eats the food. So that's why food is the main thing which causes the nature of a person, because the body is prepared out of food, the mind is also prepared out of food, the subtle things in the body is also prepared out of food. So ahara shuddhav sattva shuddhihi. So if the food is pure, we only know about vegetarian and non-vegetarian. That's all. That is only a small aspect of food. But there are so many other different aspects of food which a sadhaka has to take care. Other people need not worry. And also, if we eat the food of the shraddha and other things, so we have to share our punya to the person who is dead. You have to take his sins on yourself, or you have to share your punya. Even if you go to marriages and eat the food there, you have to share your punya with the couple. So that's why they will ask many people to take food. So at that time, that will be a blessing to all that couples. That's why on the day of marriage, you see that a lot of annadana, food will be given, presents will be given to different people, because that punya, which they earn by giving that charity of food, can protect the couple for a long time. These all the practices were there. So there is nothing like free food or free gift anywhere. We have to be very, very careful. Sadhakas, ordinary people, those who are not sadhakas need not worry. People who are sadhakas want to sincerely go forward. All these things, taking gift from others, taking free money from others without any this thing until you want it necessarily, you should not take anything like that. If you take, you have to shell out your punya, or you have to take the papa of the person who gives it to you. So that is a must. So there is no thing called free. There is nothing called free food. In this world, there is nothing called free food or free gift anywhere. The only free food you get is in the mousetrap. And though in the mousetrap, they keep the cheese or some food material for the rat. So why is the free cheese or some free food or fried items is kept inside the rat trap? To kill the rat. So free food is available only in the mousetrap. So nowhere can you get anything free. There is nothing called free. Whatever you take from the nature, how much ever luxury you spend, wantonly you spend many things. What is happening? You have to shell out your punya. Whatever merit you have earned in so many years, all that merit will be exhausted, just like the bank balance. You have money in the bank. So if you spend something, go and buy something in the credit card, the money has to become empty. You can't stop it. So we have to give more to the world to earn more punya. And we have to take less from the world, as less as possible. So that is called as austerity, vairagya. We go on taking gifts from others. We go on enjoying, so happy. We become so happy if somebody gives a gift or money, free, discount free, and other things. Will become so happy, gifts. But you do not know behind the scene what is happening. You have to shell out your punya. If you don't have punya, then you have to take the papa, the sins of the person who is giving. All these things happens. So that's why the sadhakas will take very less. Now they will take very less from the society, from the people, and give more to the society in the form of their work, the karma yoga, the puja, and all other things. They will earn more punya in that way. So we have to be very, very sensitive to these things if you are a sadhaka. Otherwise, if you are not sadhaka, don't worry about all those things. Everything will go on in its way. But if you are a sadhaka, you want to go forward in your spiritual life, you have to see. So when we are going to buy a new vehicle, you want to buy a motorcycle, you want to buy a petrol vehicle or diesel vehicle, then what is the thing that you see there? You always watch. What is the first thing you ask? How much mileage will this vehicle give? What is that mileage? It has to take less fuel, petrol or diesel, and it has to run more kilometers. Within just 1 liter of petrol or diesel, it has to give us 60 kilometers or 50 kilometers or 100 kilometers. So the mileage increases. So with a dead matter like a vehicle, inert thing, you are asking for so much of austerity that it should drink less fuel and give more mileage. But when it comes to us, it becomes reversed. How can it happen? You want to take more from the society and give very less to the society. Is this not irony? Is this not anyaya, wrong thinking? So rather, from other people, we have to expect less, but from us, we have to give maximum. So giving is important because we have this selfish genes in us, selfishness. It has gone so deep into our personality that it has become genes. They have found out this is not untruth. I'm telling. The scientists have found out the selfish genes, selfishness. You don't like to give at all. Your hand will never become like this. Always love, come, give. Always like this. Hands will be always like this. Asking, give. Everywhere. You go to God, give. Go to relatives, give. Father, mother, give. Husband, wife, give. Everything, everywhere, give. Take. Should remember when Holy Mother was asked by that Swamiji, should we give that medicine? A rich person, a landlord is coming to take the medicine from our poor dispensary. So that is meant for the poor people. We have collected begging money from so many other rich people to help the poor people. And now a rich gentleman, a rich landlord is coming to take the medicine there. Should we stop it or give it? He's a rich man. Then Holy Mother told, do not stop it, give it. Then the Swami objected, so mother, how can that be? He's a rich man. My dear child, who is a rich man? Who is rich? Who is poor? You know what was the wonderful answer of Sharda Devi? Whoever holds his hand like this, give, is poor. Whoever holds his hands in charity, giving to others, he is the rich person. What a wonderful definition of rich and poor. We think that if you have a lot of money, if you have a lot of riches, a lot of wealth, then you are a rich man. No, he's the poorest of the poor. If he always still asks, I want more money, I want more, everything more, will be begging everywhere. He's a beggar. More. But Mother Sharda Devi is telling, even he may not have anything. He may be poor. He may be a middle class person. In spite of that, he has the nature of giving. Whatever he has, he will share. So Sharda Devi tells he is the richest of the person. So a person is a rich when he has the habit of giving like this. A person is poor, one who is always give. So that is a poor man. So this is the definition given by the great mother Sharda Devi Saraswati. So now this boy, now you can understand why they cook themselves. They don't take the food cooked by others. They refuse, or very rarely they do that, because the nature of the person who has cooked, if he has bad thoughts, if the person who is cooking has basal thoughts or is of not good nature, selfish, then all those nature will come to the food character. And when that person who eats the food also will get that temporarily, until that food is there in this thing, you will get the temporary nature. So that's why most of the sadhakas, they are swapaka. What is swapaka? You can see he was cooking, and earlier in the beginning of the sadhana, you can see Ramakrishna was also doing the same thing. He used to take the food materials there and he used to cook on the bank of Ganga himself. Likewise here, this boy Akshay was a great devotee and a sadhaka, used to do a lot of nyasa, used to do a lot of pranayama, used to do a lot of Shiva puja, meditation. Then in Panchavati, used to spend long time in the worshipping Lord Shiva there. He would then cook his food with his own hands. And after taking his meal, apply his mind to the study of Bhagavata, scriptures study. Because once you take the food, you cannot do meditation. Immediately after food, you can't. When your stomach is loaded, you should not do yoga. When your stomach and your bladder is loaded, you cannot perform meditation, japa, and other things. Why? Yoga also should not be performed. When you take too much food, or not any food, what happens? You should take light food. If you take too much heavy food, what happens? For the digestion sake, all the blood, the maximum flow of blood goes to the brain to keep it active. So at that time, see, when you take food, you feel some sort of laziness, sleep. Why? Why is that? Why do you get after food, you get some sort of laziness or you want to sleep? Because the blood which was rushing always, the maximum supply of blood which was going to the brain to keep it active, now the body will send that blood towards the stomach or the digestive system for the sake of digestion. So when there is short supply of blood to the brain, you feel sleepy. That's why if you take too much food and then you start meditating, what is meditation? And japa, you are concentrating, and the rush of blood towards the brain and the heart will be rushing upwards. And now after taking heavy food, now blood will be rushing towards the stomach. So there will be a tug of war between your body to take blood towards the stomach, and you in japa and meditation want to pull it towards the heart and the brain. So neither the digestion will happen properly, there will be indigestion, and neither the meditation will be proper. You'll be sleepy. That's why immediately after heavy food, you should not meditate. You should not do japa. After maybe a short nap or 1 hour, then you can do japa. So immediately after food, taking heavy food, you should not do japa or meditation or even yoga, asanas, pranayama and other things. But you can read. That's why you can see after meals, Akshay Kumar is spending his time reading Bhagavata. He would then cook his food with his own hands and after taking his meals, apply his mind to the study of the Bhagavata. Besides, by a new urge of love of God, he practiced so much of nyasa. I told you nyasa is consecration of different bija mantras and also the mantras and also the deities in our different parts of the body. It is called nyasa. And pranayama, do like this, Kobaka, different countings, 464, 18 and other things, the counts will be there. So they will be telling some mantras also during that pranayama. So now you used to perform this nyasa and pranayama so much that his throat and palate bled. He used to do it so intensely that he used to throw his throat because of the nyasa and pranayama done too much. His throat and palate used to bleed and swelled now and again. So much of practices used to do, sadhana. Is it any wonder, therefore, that such love and devotion on his part to God endeared him to Master? He didn't have any worldly tendencies, he has so much of devotion. So all these things added, because Ramakrishna himself has brought him up as a child, and he had showed the father and no mother, and father used to not take him to the lap. Ramakrishna himself had brought him up, taking him on in his lap and showing so much of love to him. So naturally that deep love of Sri Ramakrishna was there to that child. And over and above that, he was so much devoted to God and spiritual practices. He used to do so much of intense sadhana. So that enhanced the deep love of Sri Ramakrishna towards this boy. So Ramakrishna, now we can see, is it any wonder, therefore, that such love and devotion on his part to God, that is Akshay's part to God, endeared Akshay to Sri Ramakrishna. Years passed on, one after another, till it was the end of BE 1275, that is AD, the year 1869. So the English calendar or the Gregorian calendar, because some Indian calendars also will be noted there. That's why when it is the Indian calendar, it is 1275. The Gregorian calendar, it was AD 1866. Anno Domini, AD means. So Akshay's uncle Rameshwar came to know of this trend of his mind, because Akshay's uncle, that is Ramakrishna's brother, Rameshwar, came to know that like Ramakrishna, this boy Akshay was also performing too much of sadhana, so much of devotion in the Panchavati, so much of nyasa, so much of pranayama. So he will also become like Ramakrishna, a sadhaka. So Rameshwar, when he came to know of this trend of the mind of Akshay, purity and rushing of the mind towards God, now he was afraid. So he started searching. What is the worldly solution? What will the father and mother and the people in the world think? Anything problem? Immediately they will think, marry him off. Then if you marry him, the girl who will come will teach him the lesson and put him to the path properly. So that is the general way people think outside. So now Akshay Kumar was afraid. If he also take the path of Sri Ramakrishna in sadhana and become a great sadhaka, what to be done? So immediately, what is the solution? Marry him off. Then his mind will come down. The wife, beautiful wife, will bring his mind towards the worldly objects. Then he will not become a sadhaka. So that was the intention. So Rameshwar, the uncle of Akshay, came to know of this trend of his mind and began to search for a bride in order to check that trend, that mind of Akshay Kumar rushing towards spiritual life. Now they wanted to check it, stop that. They wanted to make him a worldly man, a family man, live there happily in the family. So to check the trend, they started searching for a bride. Quickly, hurry, hurry. They want to make him marry him off quickly so that all these things, sadhana, will come down. They think that doing sadhana is a crime. So if you stop that crime, then that person will become worldly like them and be happy in the family life. So they don't want people to go forward in spiritual life. So Akshay's uncle Rameshwar came to know of this trend of his mind and began to search for a bride in order to check the trend. It was in the month of Chaitra that a suitable bride was found in the village of Kuchkol, not far from Kamarpukur, and Rameshwar came to Dakshineshwar to take Akshay Kumar home for marriage. Objections were raised against their starting on the ground that the month of Chaitra, during the month of Chaitra, they should not marry. That is not the good period. So objections were raised against their starting on the ground that the month of Chaitra was held inauspicious for starting on a journey. Any journey you should not start during Chaitra. So it was inauspicious. They raised the objection. Rameshwar and Akshay did not pay any heed to it and said that the prohibition of the scriptures was not applicable in the case of homecoming from a temporary residence elsewhere. Akshay's marriage took place shortly after that. He returned home in the month of Vaishaka of BE 1276, the Indian calendar, and the Gregorian calendar or the Western calendar is 1869. Akshay fell seriously ill after this. Akshay fell seriously ill when he was in his father-in-law's house. A few months after his marriage, Akshay fell seriously ill when he was in his father-in-law's house a few months after his marriage. Rameshwar, on receiving news of this, had him brought to Kamarpukur, where he was placed under treatment and was brought around. His health improved. He was then sent to Dakshineshwar again. There, his looks brightened and his health seemed to be improving. When suddenly he had an attack of fever one day. Doctors thought that it was a simple fever and that he would be rid of it very soon. So it was a simple fever. When he heard that Akshay had fallen ill, his father-in-law's house shortly after his marriage, when Ramakrishna heard that Akshay had fallen ill in his father-in-law's house shortly after his marriage, the master, we were told by Hriday, Sri Ramakrishna predicted, he said, Ridu, the omen The omens are extremely bad. He has been married to a bride of Rakshasa Gana. Ridu Ramakrishna is predicting the omens are extremely bad. He has been married to a bride of Rakshasa Gana, demoniacal nature. People are of godly divine nature, then the demoniacal nature. So now the bride, he has been married to the girl or bride of this Rakshasa Gana. That is, the nature is too worldly, always in the senses, sense enjoyment, sense gratification, not divine type. Mind doesn't go towards God. So those people who think that body, enjoyment of the body is everything, sole purpose, enjoyment of this life is the sole purpose of this life. So such people are demoniacal in nature, Rakshasa Gana. So he has been married to a girl of Rakshasa Gana. The lad will die because he is of the opposite nature. So they can't live together. He has been married to a Rakshasa Gana bride. So this boy, this lad will not survive long. He will die. The lad will die quickly. I'm afraid, Hridu, when the fever did not subside even after 3 or 4 days, he called Hriday to him and said, Hridu, that is Hriday to Hriday, doctors have not been able to diagnose the disease. Akshay has a complicated, high and continuous fever. Call a good doctor and administer good treatment to your satisfaction. But the boy, it is certain, will not survive. Ramakrishna predicted and told, the boy will not survive. Whatever you do, you bring the best doctor and give the treatment, but the boy, it is certain, will not survive. Pridhu said, when I heard Ramakrishna say so, I took him to task, saying, Hridu took Ramakrishna to task, saying, what is this, uncle, mama, you are telling? Don't speak like that, uncle, mama. Let not such words come out of your lips. Whatever you tell will become true. You are a man of God, you are God yourself, and if you tell anything, that will become true. Such words should not escape from your lips. When I heard Sri Ramakrishna predicting like this, Hridu got angry. He took Sri Ramakrishna to task, saying, don't speak like that, uncle. Let not such words come out of your lips. Then Sri Ramakrishna replied, Hridu, do I say of my own accord? Do I want that Akshay, whom I love so much, that he should die? I am not telling that on my own accord. Do I say so of my own accord? I say things involuntarily, under the divine influence. Whatever Divine Mother is telling through me, what I see as the truth, only that I tell. I say what the Divine Mother makes me know and say, do I wish that Akshay should die? I don't wish that Akshay should die. I'm only telling what the Divine Mother is making me tell. Now we all know Satyavakya Paripalana. The people who practice telling Satya, truth, for 12 years, Kaya Vacha Manasa. There is a vow, the vrata. Just like I've told, there are so many vratas, you get so many siddhis, aparigraha, asteya, not non-acceptance of gift is aparigraha. For 12 years, if you do, then you get this siddhi. Then asteya, non-stealing, if you do, you will get this siddhi. Likewise, if you do this vrata of Satyavakya Paripalana, telling truth for 12 years, Kaya Vacha Manasa, only truth and truth, not only in words, but also in deed, in your work. Kaya, Vacha, Manasa. Vacha is in your words. Kaya means in your work. You give some time, you have to keep up the time. Give some words, you have to fulfill that. If I tell I'll come there at that time, you have to keep up your punctuality is also truthfulness. Then if you promise somebody that you will give that money or something to them, then afterwards go back, you don't do that. That is untruthfulness. So when you give some words, you have to fulfill that words. That is truthfulness at the level of deed. Then telling only the truth, no mincing of words, no beating around the bush. When some question is asked, we go on beating around the bush somewhere. Don't come to the truth at all. Be truthful, straight. No mincing of words, no coloring of words. So very nicely coating with sugar and doing all the sugary things. Be truthful, plain. But you should be careful, you should not hurt with your truth. If it is hurting somebody, keep mum, do not talk. You're not telling untruth, but don't. You tell the truth which is pleasing and soothing, but don't tell the truth which is hurting. That is Satyam Bruyat, Priyam Bruyat, Na Bruyat Satyam Apriyam. That is our words of the scriptures. So then, truthfulness at the thought level. Kaya Vacha Manasa. If you observe like this for 12 years, then you will get the Siddhi, Satyavakya Paripalana. So whatever you tell will become truth, or only that will happen. The truthfulness, the truth which is going to happen will be known to you and you will tell that. These are the gifts or the vrata, the siddhi he gets after truthfulness. Now Ramakrishna is the Lord himself. He is the Gadadhar Vishnu, and also he has practiced the Satya, Vakya Paripalaka for so many years. So he's telling now, Ridu, do you think that I want to tell these bad things against my own kith and kin, my brother's son Akshay? I love him so much. Do I want that he should die? No, that is not my intention. But I can't help. That's what Divine Mother is showing me. He will not survive because he has been married to the girl of entirely extremely different nature. So he cannot survive. That is what Sri Ramakrishna told. So now, before ending our discussion, we shall now take up another thing and discuss that. What is that important thing which we have to discuss? Since Durga Puja is coming, Sri Ramakrishna also attended in Durga Puja. So now, invite the mother. What is this inviting mother? Durga Puja this year will be different experience. Even if the devotees go shopping for the puja, visit relatives and friends and hop from one puja pandal to another, their joy will be tinged with the sense of fear of pandemic and sadness created by the pandemic conditions. And for many devotees, the only wise option is probably to worship the mother in their own houses. So that's why invite Divine Mother to your own house and worship her. After the first Durga Puja, in the image of Belur Math, Holy Mother, Sri Sharda Devi, who participated in that occasion in Belur Math, she predicted that Divine Mother Durga will come here to Belur Math every year and receive the worship. Just like Ramakrishna predicted when Hriday did the puja, for 3 years, Divine Mother will come and receive your worship. Only 3 years. 4th year he couldn't do. We saw that. But here, Holy Mother Sharda Devi predicted after the first Durga Puja in Belur Math that the Divine Mother Durga is very much pleased. So, in Durga, the Divine Mother Durga in Belur Math, the mother, that is Divine Mother Durga, will come here, that is Belur Math, every year and worship. So, the Divine Mother will definitely come every year and receive the worship. Truly, this blessing applies to every branch center of Ramakrishna Ashrama, not only Belur Math, but also wherever the Durga Puja is performed in Ramakrishna Ashrama, everywhere, because of the blessing of Holy Mother, it will be true. So, this blessing of Holy Mother applies to every branch center of Belur Math, the Ramakrishna Ashrama, wherever, whichever part of the world, where the mother worship is done, Durga is worshipped. So not being at Belur Math during the Durga Puja in the living presence of Divine Mother and the Holy Trio is very painful prospect of for all the devotees. But every adverse circumstance has a hidden opportunity. Devotees unable to come to Mat for the puja can invite Divine Mother and Sri Ramakrishna to attend the puja at their own homes. Now you can make your own home the puja place of Divine Mother and Sri Ramakrishna. That's why we all know that in 1868, Sri Ramakrishna's nephew Hridayaram decided to worship the Divine Mother at his house in Sihor, and how Sri Ramakrishna traveled there to the path of light and stayed there and received the worship. So, in that fashion, we can, Ramakrishna and Mother also will come to your houses if you invite her and if you do puja in your own house. So another thing also happened in October 1885. Sri Ramakrishna was staying in Shampukur, Kolkata, because the disease started at the time. He was not well, so he was taken to Shampukur, Bati. So Sri Ramakrishna was staying there in Kolkata undergoing treatment. Surendranath Mitra, another household devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, a close devotee, was celebrating Durga Puja at his residence. He was very sad because Sri Ramakrishna was unable to join the celebration at his house. So he was crying. On the Ashtami day, in the evening, Surendra sat in the courtyard in front of Mother Durga Puja Pendal. In front of the mother, he sat and started weeping. He wept loudly like a boy, crying out, Mother, Mother, Ma, Ma. For over an hour, he started weeping in front of the mother, crying, Mother, Mother, because Ramakrishna couldn't come. So at that same time, Sri Ramakrishna had entered, because here Surendra, the great devotee, is crying in his house. Ramakrishna is far away in Shampukur. And at that same time, because of his cry, because of his devotion, Sri Ramakrishna here in Shampukur, though he was sick, he entered into Samadhi. Now, when he returned to normal consciousness, Ramakrishna told that the assembled devotees, he told, I saw there in Surendra's house, I saw that there opened a luminous path from here to Surendra's house, a luminous path. I saw further that attracted by Surendra's devotion, the mother had appeared in the image and that a ray of light was coming out from her third eye. I also saw the rows of lamps were lighted in the front veranda, and Surendra was sitting and weeping piteously in the courtyard in front of Mother. Sri Ramakrishna then sent Swami Vivekananda and others devotees to visit Surendra's house. So Narendra, that is future Swami Vivekananda, was very scientific. He would not believe anything. He went and saw everything ditto as it is. Everything happened, the row of light, how Surendra was sitting there and crying, everything he could see. So Ramakrishna told, I had gone there, I had seen. Divine Mother was very pleased with his worship. A ray was coming from her third eye, and Mother had manifested there. So I too was forced to go because of the devotion of Surendra. So this Durga Puja, let us with childlike faith call the Master and Mother Durga and Sri Ramakrishna. So call them with childlike faith. So Sri Ramakrishna often advised us, cry to your mother with a real cry, O mind. Cry to your mother with a real cry, O mind. And how can she hold herself from you? And how can she hold herself from you? When she comes along with Sri Ramakrishna, let us pray for strength to overcome all the challenges that she's throwing at us in the form of pandemic. So call her, invite her from your heart with a real cry, as Sri Ramakrishna has told with the incidents. So if you cry just like the Surendra, like a child, the Ramakrishna also couldn't withstand. He came running through the path of light. And Mother Durga also, you saw, had come, and that third eye, the rays were coming. She was pleased with his call. So if we also, as the words Ramakrishna used to sing, what is Sri Ramakrishna used to often advise? Cry to your mother, that is God, with a real cry. It should come from the heart. It should not be a show off. A real cry. Oh mind, how can Divine Mother she hold herself from you? She cannot. She will come running. So when she comes along with Sri Ramakrishna to your house, let us pray for strength to overcome all the challenges that she has thrown us in the form of pandemic, and you can overcome the fear. So we will stop our discussion. So now it's a time for questions and answers. If you have any questions, you can ask. Any questions? Any, yes, Madhusudan, please tell.
Maharaj, question on Akshay and his wife. Can a wife influence the lifespan of husband?
Yeah. Suppose your wife is always quarreling. Suppose your wife is always torturing you with hurtful words. Then whatever you eat or whatever this thing will not be digested or metabolism will not happen. So I will just give you the example. A scientist conducted an experiment on two trees, similar trees, not trees, plants, small plants. So he had the saplings of equal age, bought from the same plant, the seeds, two different seeds of the same thing, and he started growing it in the pot. So both were kept at different places. He started one, the plant used to go and scold and ill-treat in the sense, always bad thought, scolding it. And another tree, he used to, not the treat, the plant, he used to give very sweet words, treat it with very great care and with all sweet words, behavior. So both were given equal food, light, and everything, the best manure to both. But the one which started getting scolding and bad treatment, ill treatment, it was growing, it was shriveling. It had growth, but it was shriveling. Its growth was very unhealthy. But on the contrary, which received good treatment, good words, sweet nature, behavior, started growing very healthily and lustily. So if this can happen on a thing called a plant, human beings, I think, are more sensitive, isn't it? Nothing, I need not explain it in a very secret or anything. It is a very general thing. Yeah.
Morning, Swamiji. Namaskar.
Good morning, Reginald Mistriji. Please tell.
Thank you very much for the lovely session. And your last example is very evident. It's happening around. Every small movement creates an energy. So correct. I just want to make a comment and also ask a question. The question is, in the spiritual governance of our gods is very evident when we look at your examples discussed this morning about Mahalakshmi being Minister of Finance and Saraswati being a Minister of Education. So we started this very, very long ago, thousands of years ago, before they had democracy in all those other countries in the world. We started with our gods.
Yeah, definitely. Because we used to revere women at a very high state. That was our society. Because of the invasion, Islamic invasion, and also the British and other people invading India. So all these, whatever you see nowadays has happened. Otherwise, the high respect was given to the women, and that was the highest place.
Yeah, very beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Women empowerment was already there. It was the women who were empowering all the men.
Oh, definitely. There is also evidence that women started life and men came after that as well. This is from, we're talking about scientific information. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh. Any other questions? Yes, Pavan Kumar, please tell.
Maharaj, incident of Akshay is like very interesting. Like, and Akshay's father himself was a Jyotishi, so like he could have known that the girl is a Rakshasa Gana, etc. Still, it went on to happen. The marriage went on to happen. He eventually died. So,
No,
is it like a Leela of Holy Mother?
Akshay Kumar was not alive. He had passed away.
Oh, his father had passed away that time.
That was Rameshwar, the uncle, who was afraid.
Okay.
It was not Ram
Okay.
Kumar.
Okay.
Akshay Kumar was no more there at that time. He had passed away.
Okay. But still, a family of priests, like, nobody observed that. So, is it like a Leela of Holy Mother?
Done in a
Something?
hurry. It was done in a hurry. You know that he was also doing sadhana. I explained it there. He was doing
Correct,
so much sadhana. They were afraid that he will also become like Ramakrishna and become a sadhaka and give up family life. So they did it. Though so many people objected, don't take to him to the marriage. Even Ramakrishna predicted,
Yes.
do not do that. Now, don't do this in a hurry burry. The bad omens are coming. But still they neglected and they wanted that he should become a worldly man, and they forcibly married him.
Okay. And like all this, like, what is the lesson or we can take, Maharaj? Because like obviously, if a character has come in the Leela Prasanga, there must be some lesson to be taken, right? So that's why God created this.
Yeah, definitely.
Could be
See
the
now,
lesson here.
you see that in olden days they used to match the horoscope and see what kind of nature, the stars, the other things which they are born in, will that match? All those things were taken care of in olden days. Now that is lost. That is a different thing. But there are good people who can do that, and you can see that is the reason why immediately of the marriage, within a few days, there will be breakage, fights. In olden days, many a times the bride would have not seen the bridegroom at all. Only during the marriage time they would see. The bride or the bridegroom may be beautiful or colorful or ordinary, but they would live happily for more than 100 years, both together. The happy family would be there. No beauty, no other things would be taken care of, but it was the character, the nature which was taken care of. Now it is all they see the externals, and once they come to know each other of the nature, then you see how they fight, and there will be divorces, and so many families are broken. When we were young, we used to hear from one very old Swamiji, that is what do you call that, Shastranandaji Maharaj. He used to make a joke of America. He had been in USA in 1970s or 60s. So after coming to India, he used to joke. Then he told us this joke. See, there in America, two parents, that is father and mother, were talking to each other. The wife was telling the husband, see, my dear, my children and your children are playing with our children. So that was a joke for us then, but now it is happening everywhere. That is the reality.
No more a joke.
Yeah.
Okay.
So our all olden people, they didn't do all these things for fun. There were some reality which we can't understand now, but if you scientifically make some research, you can find everything. Go back to it.
Yes. So the traditional Jyotisha is also has a lot of scientific things.
Yeah, that is
we learn from.
correctly done. It's a science. If you learn correctly, then there is truth behind it.
Yes.
But nowadays, because of money and hurry burry, they want all those things. They want to twist the truth and give some. They will give the money to the Jyotishyas to tell a lie. Or so many things happen. But if correctly followed, it will be very good.
Pranams, Maharaj.
Yes, Mother, please tell.
The lecture was really interesting and it is very, very nice. But one thing I want to ask Swamiji, that nowadays the children, as you said, they say they ask for every scientific reason. If we believe in this astrology and other things, they ask for all scientific reason. How to convince these children?
No need of convincing. If I told you so many times that if anything is given in the right perspective, they will hear. We should not, out of with love, if we tell anything, they receive it. If we just try to force things upon them, they don't like it. If you tell with reason, if you tell with this thing, you take to the proper person, then they will take it. If you're praying that from the beginning, from the childhood, they will act accordingly. We neglect all those things. We are afraid to give them religion. We are afraid to give them good things from the religion, because if we give religion, they will run away as sannyasins. So they will become sannyasins with that fear. So we don't give
No,
religion from.
it's not like that, Swamiji.
No.
I just
I'm
need to
telling
say.
about the generality. About the generality, I'm telling. So they don't get the training from the childhood. So when you grow up, the TV, the phones, the other people's school, they learn so many things. So they will act accordingly. They become their gurus. When we don't give the proper training, they will definitely have faith only in the words of the friends, about the TV, whatever the TV show says, about the person, intellectuals, all those things, they will believe in those things. So our training, the lack of training from the childhood is a cause.
The only thing is that regarding this horoscope tallying and other things, earlier we used to do all these things. Nowadays, children, they don't believe in that. They just make a casual thing like that. No, it is not right.
Whether I believe, whether I know or not, whether I believe or not, if I jump into the river, I become wet. Or whether I believe or not, whether I know or not, if I keep my hand into the fire, it will burn.
Yes, yes.
Let them learn the hard lesson.
That is that in nowadays, because of this Western influence, this has come. This has become a big problem for everyone nowadays.
Yes, mother.
Yes. Lecture was today's class was really very nice, Swamiji. Hoping we were actually expecting that by Durga Puja this pandemic will end, but the situation in Bangalore is becoming worse every day by day. So this time Durga Puja also will be online.
Instead of hoping, mother, pray intensely to mother, she will remove it.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you. That is what we are doing, Swamiji.
Yes, mother.
Today we had a Kamarpukur Japayagna class. Japayagna is there today.
I know it, mother. I am getting all the things. I have known people in Kamarpukur. They are sending all the details to me. I'm in touch with them.
It's very nice, Swamiji. It's actually we are following. It is very nice.
Yes.
So at least we are having some good things for Sundays. And like your class, this Japayagna, everything is giving us more peace for the mind. It's really very nice, Swamiji. Pranam, Swamiji.
Yes, mother. Yes, mother. Any other questions or doubts?
Namaste, Maharaj. This is Shantanu here.
Shantanu, please tell, Shantanu.
Maharaj, in one of the earlier classes, you had explained that worship of Mother is much more difficult than worship of Vishnu. And so if we were to worship Mother at our home with all our shortcomings, what is the best way, Maharaj?
No, it is not like that. The thing of tantras is difficult. The worship through tantras is difficult. The worship of Divine Mother Kali through tantra is difficult. Because it is there's a combination of Vedanta and the Vedas and the Tantras and the other things. So in Vaishnavism, they have made it is the latest things which are coming out. They have made it more simple with the devotion. So they have taken more of Vedanta aspect to that, where they worship Lord without desires for the sake of bhakti, devotion. So when we do the puja and other devotions for the sake of some gain, suppose you want to get good children, good wife, good wealth, and other things with some kamya karma, with the desire, then there will be this problem of God will be displeased and so many other things. But if you do look after God like your own father and mother, it is for the preeti or love of the Lord, then you need not worry about all these things at all. You can pray in whatever way you like. Because suppose instead of calling your father when you are a small child, suppose you are a child, you have small child. Now, while you are taking up the child, it will kick you in its leg. Will you become angry on your child?
No, Maharaj.
Yeah, it is learning to talk now. Instead of calling you Papa or Appa or Baba, it will call Daba. Will you get angry on it?
No, Maharaj.
Why?
Because she's still learning, or like,
Yeah, it is your
I know
child.
that, yeah.
It is telling with love. It is not for any selfish purpose. So, in the similar manner, if we approach God like our own father and mother for the love of the Lord, then you need not fear or worry at all.
Okay, Maharaj. So in
That's
spite of all the shortcomings that we have, that I know that I have these shortcomings, still I can worship her.
you don't have, see, for father and mother, nothing is a shortcoming. About the child, so there is a saying in India that for the father and mother, even if the child is like a bandicoot, like a rat, it is the most beautiful thing on the earth.
Yes, ma'am.
So likewise, any shortcoming from us, the Lord will not see.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. He is our
Thank you.
real father and mother. God is our real father and mother. So approach her like mother for the sake of love, not for anything else. Then you'll see no shortcomings will be looked at.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions? Any other doubts? So we shall end the session with the closing mantra. Om Priyatam Pundarikakshaha Sarvayagneshwaro Harihi Tasmin Tushte Jagat Tushtam Prenite Prenitam Jagat Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.